Hi everybody, Miss-elaineous here and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, this is where I take you to see offbeat, interesting and quirky hidden gems of tourist attractions. Today I've been to Brompton Cemetery, which is in Earl's Court, London. Now Brompton Cemetery is one of London's magnificent 7 cemeteries. These are cemeteries built between 1833 and 1841 to house London's dead, when local cemeteries became overcrowded, with bodies being stacked in 2 or 3 deep. They had an open day here, and little Miss Macabre, Gothic and ghoulish just had to come and investigate. Come and take a walk in my shoes and I'll take you down to the Catacombs, which are not normally open to the public. I will also show you some interesting graves, including those of Queen Victoria's goddaughter, a famous suffragette, and an Italian heiress considered to be the Lady Gaga of her day. Remember to give me a like, remember to subscribe to my channel, and do click on the notifications bell. I will see you in the video.
Despite the day being clammy, it was lovely and cool down here, with a very clued up informative guide. My tour cost £5, although entrance to the cemetery was and is always free. There is room for thousands of burials down here, but only 500 spaces were actually sold. The law dictated that coffins used for catacomb burials had to be encased in lead. You will see damp around here, and it's definitely damp and not human seepage. Do you suffer from arachnophobia? Then don't venture down here. Little 8-legged friends are everywhere. Mwahahaha. It was definitely a tad spooky in the catacombs, and we had to shuffle along. It is pitch black at the moment, but our guide turned the lights on. Some relatives attached a wood casing to the outside of the lead coffin. Brompton Cemetery offered a range of interments when it opened, with budgets to suit every pocket. Relatives thought a catacombs burial would be cheaper than erecting a stone monument outside. But by the time they'd had to fork out for a lead-encased coffin and then encased that in wood, it worked out just as expensive. Wood decays, and you can see around here, in parts where it's been reduced to powder. Some coffins were placed lengthways and some widthways, and some are placed behind bars. Victorian relatives thought that a catacomb burial meant that they could be close to their loved ones, visiting the coffin regularly. Over time, there was a growing interest in cremation, which was thought to be more sanitary. Gruesome tales abounded, such as the public health warning of lead coffins exploding due to the build-up of gases released by the decomposing bodies. Some dates on plaques are visible. As you look around, you will see empty spaces where there should be coffins, but aren't, due to lack of interest. Kensington Green Cemetery, with its magnificent catacombs, proved to be more popular. Symbolism abounds on the door. The downward-facing torches representing a life snuffed out, and the serpent catching its tail, the ring of everlasting life. And here I am climbing back into the heat. I then headed over to the chapel. 3 chapels were planned, but only one was built. It is still used for funeral services as well as other activities and events. Here I'm reaching it by strolling down the colonnades. They're pretty atmospheric. I've been here before, and that time there was a vintage hearse on display. Alas, it wasn't here on this day. The eight-sided building is supposed to represent life on Earth. There were a smattering of Goths, though. The spacious dome is said to represent heaven, and there was a display of local artistry inside. Around the back, there was a display of birds of prey. Brompton Cemetery is in the Royal Borough of Kensington in Chelsea and is the only cemetery in the country to be managed by the Crown. It dates back from 1840. I then headed around the back of the Great Circle, which is a bit more wild than the central section. As I mentioned before, during the Victorian age, local cemeteries were becoming increasingly overcrowded, with burials taking place on top of former burials. Horror stories abounded, gravediggers jumping up and down on old corpses to fit new ones in, the cutting through of mistakenly exhumed limbs whilst digging new plots, accidentally digging so deep that corpses fell into the sewers and were flushed away. The Victorians believed that the rot and mildew caused by these unsavoury actions led to miasma, which is bad air, which was considered very unhygienic and a transmitter of disease. Now, the section to my left, in the centre of the Great Circle, was meant to be a lawn. But it's been overtaken by graves, some of them with fantastic headstones. There are also memorial plaques on the wall. The Magnificent Seven are this cemetery, Kensal Green Cemetery, West Norwood Cemetery, Highgate Cemetery, Abney Park Cemetery, Nunhead Cemetery, and Tower Hamlets Cemetery. Over in the distance is Chelsea Football Club. Stamford Bridge, you can see it peeping over the top of the cemetery. Chelsea were playing at home on this day and the fans were quite lively, as you will hear later. Do check out my blog. As I've mentioned before, I will always be a writer before anything else. My vlogs are designed to lead you into my blog, and the link is in the description. There is much more information on there, and some brilliant photos, even if I do say so myself. Children's author Beatrix Potter lived nearby, and it's believed that she used to take walks through the cemetery to contemplate. She is alleged to have taken the names of some of her much-loved characters from gravestones. Mr. Rabbit, Mr. Fisher, Mr. Brock and Mr. McGregor have all been found in the cemetery. We're heading down parallel to the central avenue now, and this is the grave of John Gentleman Jackson, who was a bodyguard at the coronation of King George IV. A brooding lion tops the striking memorial to him. I'm now heading back in the direction of the main entrance to the cemetery, on the hunt for Hannah Courtoy's tomb. Her story is intriguing. She had 3 daughters by an older man, but they never married. She did controversially inherit his wealth, though. Here it is, and his wealth paid for her huge Egyptian-style tomb. Now, this is believed by some to be a time-travelling TARDIS. I had to walk up to it and see if just touching it would send me into a different dimension. This is where Joseph Bonamy is buried, and the hieroglyphics on his distinctive headstone reflect his life as an artist, drawing and illustrating Egyptian archaeology. I'm now heading down the central avenue, taking in the artistry of some of the wonderful tombstones here. Headstones were an indicator of wealth during Victorian times. You can still get buried here today. If you do come here, enter via the old Brompton Road entrance. As well as being a charming little cafe to your right, there is a visitor centre to the left, and it's in here that you can pick up a map, which will indicate where all the graves of the significant people are situated.
Not me. It's alright if you come from the north, but there's no district line between. They cut out. That's why they spread out the games over a weekend.
There were stalls down the central avenue selling things such as foodstuffs, jewellery, little toys and books. This grave we're now passing is very significant, but I'll get back to her. I just want to show you my favourite grave in the whole cemetery. It's of two putti, which are winged children, sprinkling flowers onto the grave. Here they are. I think they're captivatingly beautiful. And I'll just take you back to the grave of Emmeline Pankhurst, who was the leader of the British suffragette movement, whose campaigning, often using controversial methods, led to women being given the vote. Us modern girls have a lot to thank her for. The Chelsea fans were cutting through the cemetery, and you can hear them getting rather lively in the background as I headed round to the grave of Dr. John Snow, who has been voted the greatest physician of all time by British doctors. A leader in the development of anaesthesia and medical hygiene, he attended the births of Queen Victoria's last two children. I then headed round the side to the Garden of Remembrance. Brompton was closed to burials between 1952 and 1966, except for family interments. You can still rest here for eternity, though, as cremated remains can be deposited here. This is the Chelsea Pensioners Monument, and there is also a Brigade of Guards monument and a further set of catacombs, much further up on this side. You can't visit them, but you can peer in. Look, we have a murder of crows here. I'm going to head back to the chapel end now, to the wilderness behind the colonnades to show you my two favourite graves. The first one is the grave of Princess Victoria Gorama, who lived from 1841 to 1864, dying at the age of only 23. She was an exiled Indian royal who was adopted by Queen Victoria. She converted to Christianity, became an honorary princess, and was often seen out and about with the royal family. Her grave once had a cross on the top, but that has not stood the test of time and has broken off. Alas, my final piece of filming corrupted, so I just had to use a photograph I took last time, as I wanted to show you the grave of Marchesa Luisa Casati, who lived from 1881 to 1957. She was an Italian heiress, patroness of the arts, an exuberant dresser, and a muse. She was considered to be the Lady Gaga of her day. She led the extravagant lifestyle and used to parade around with a pair of leashed cheetahs whilst wearing live snakes as jewellery. She died nearby in poverty, having amassed a debt of $25 million. She was often seen rummaging in bins, apparently for feathers with which to decorate her hair, and was buried in her leopard skin finery. She's something of a gay icon, and regular pilgrimages to her grave occur. You can see her picture propped up against a tombstone, as well as a multicoloured brooch, which has been left as a tribute. She strikes me as someone absolutely fantabulous, darling. And with that, I will leave you there.
Thank you for watching, and I do hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know in the comments where you would like me to visit. Remember to give me a like, remember to subscribe to my channel and hit on that notifications bell. It costs you nothing and you'll be helping me out enormously. You might want to check out some of my other videos, links here. Until next time, ta-ta for now.